Discover 3 spine-chilling true horror stories of sinister events on haunted summer nights in the quiet suburb of Maplewood, where the houses lined up like toothy grins and the smell of freshly cut grass lingered sweetly on summer nights. Something dark simmered beneath. Everyone was friendly, everyone waved, but little did they know that the whispers surrounding the abandoned school at the end of their street were slowly weaving an intricate web of dread. Emily, a 32-year-old single mother, felt the weight of caring for her young son alone as she worked endless nights at the local diner. Exhaustion haunted her. Then came the stories, the chilling tales of figures lurking in the shadows, ghostly whispers that clawed at the edges of her sleep-deprived mind. One fateful evening, the sun dipped behind the horizon, its last rays banished by the encroaching darkness. Emily's rickety old car sputtered and hissed, finally dying on a deserted road. Panic struck as the headlights flickered against the imposing silhouette of the crumbling school. She stepped out, the night air thick and heavy, clinging to her skin like a wet blanket. A chill sent a shiver down her spine. As she peered into the woods, something seemed to watch from the shadows, a cold knot of familiarity and fear tightening around her heart. It felt personal, like a long-buried memory tugging at the corners of her mind. Across the street, the Rodriguez family was dealing with their own terror. It began innocently enough, a thud from the attic, a something that shouldn't be there, but this innocent disturbance blossomed into an unsettling series of strange occurrences. While exploring their attic, they stumbled upon a box of old photographs. Faded smiles stared back at them, kids playing in that very park, their innocence captured in time. But as they continued to sift through the images, a sense of dread washed over them. The once bright faces seemed hollow, as if they knew something sinister was buried in the whispers of the town. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As summer waned, anticipation crackled in the air like electric tension. The town gathered for a festivity outside the park, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows. But beneath the facade of community joy lurked a miasma of dread, each parent's laughter twisting into an echo of fear as children began to vanish one by one, small shadows slipping into the night. Panic seized the atmosphere as whispers danced through the crowd, parents exchanging horrified glances, their smiles transforming from friendly to frantic. The newcomers, with their too bright laughter, felt wrong, like a discordant note demanding an answer. Emily felt it all closing in. The dark nursery rhymes she had dismissed suddenly played back in her mind. Who were these neighbors? Who could she trust? The laughter she thought she knew took on a sinister tone, merging with the distant echoes of children playing and then fading into something haunting. As the silence in her heart grew, she couldn't shake the feeling that the true horror lay not just in shadows but in the familiar faces of the ones she thought she knew so well. Outside, Maplewood slept peacefully, blissfully ignorant of the unraveling nightmares lurking just beneath the surface, deeper than anyone could imagine. And with her son still unaccounted for, fear rooted itself like a weed inside her gut, spreading wider and threatening to choke out everything she held dear. Emily's heart raced as she stumbled back to her car, panic clawing at her throat. The dread from the school loomed like a dark cloud, almost tangible as the shadows stretched and twisted around her. Each step towards the vehicle felt weighed down by the current of fear coursing through her veins. She fumbled for the keys in her pocket, feeling their cool metal against her palm. It was a simple action, but under the pressure of Twilight's encroachment, it felt monumental. Her thoughts were a chaotic mash of worries. Where was her son? The gentle chime of laughter from the park felt distant now, as if a veil had descended over the world she once believed was safe. Suddenly, a scream pierced the night, stark and raw. Emily's breath caught in her chest. It came from the direction of the park, and a chill, deeper than the autumn air, slithered down her spine. She didn't remember leaping into the car, her body just moved, driven by a primal instinct to protect. As the engine sputtered into life, she cast another glance toward the park. A group of parents stood in a huddle, their faces drained of color, eyes wide and glassy. Confusion flickered through her mind. Something was terribly wrong. Everyone was looking towards the same direction, yet they seemed trapped, paralyzed by fear. The road back home unfurled before her, but Emily felt a pull back to the darkness of the park. She hesitated, her hands gripping the wheel as she fought against the urge to turn around. She thought of her son, the sweet boy with the bright smile, unaccounted for in this spiraling nightmare. Moments stretched, heavy as time slowed. She glanced in the rearview mirror. Someone stood at the park entrance, a small figure draped in shadows. Her heart leapt. Could it be him? She squinted, desperate for clarity. Just beyond the flickering lights of the festivities, she could almost make out the form of a child, but something clung to it, shifting. The figure turned, and in the dim light, she felt dread settle on her like a wet blanket. The face was familiar, and yet, not instinctively, she slammed the car into gear and sped away, a tide of adrenaline forcing her toward home. But doubt swirled in her mind. What if her son had been taken? What if he was with those who had come to Maplewood, bringing dark intentions cloaked beneath their cheerful facades? Back at her home, the silence was deafening. The air seemed charged with unspoken terror. She rushed inside, calling her son's name, her voice echoing against the walls. The house felt vast and empty, as if the very bones of it conspired against her. "Mom?" A whisper came from the hallway, and her heart soared. She darted toward the sound, but as she rounded the corner, her blood ran cold. The voice was not her son's. Standing there, framed in the dim light, was a girl, a child with the same hollow smile as the faces in the photographs. She was wearing the clothes from the park, the laughter still echoing in the air around her. "He's not coming back, you know." Emily's breath hitched. "Where is he?" The words fell from her lips, desperate and raw. The girl stepped closer, her shadow stretching unnaturally long along the floor. "They've taken him to play. You should join us." A tangible weight settled in the air, heavy with dark charm. It was not just an invitation, it was a command. Emily's instincts screamed at her to turn away, to flee, but those hollow eyes bore into her, and momentarily, she felt ensnared. Could she resist? Would she lose everything, her son and perhaps herself, if she followed the girl into the deepening dark? As she hesitated, unsure and terrified, a distant roar of laughter rose again, the tug of something unseen drawing her forward. Emily took a step, but what waited on the other side of her choice? Emily's foot hovered above the floor, caught between the familiar rhythm of a mother's lingering hope and the chilling call of the unknown. The girl, still smiling that appalling smile, beckoned her with an eerie trust. The air thickened, pressing against her head, and she felt dizzy as if the walls were closing in. "Mom?" The voice dripped with sweetness, yet it sent tendrils of ice creeping down her spine. It twisted in her gut, she had to fight it. Each pulse of adrenaline spurred her heart to leap, but fear held her in place. Where could her son be? "Tell me where he is." As she cried out, desperation flooded her voice, breaking through the haze. The girl's face twisted with a fleeting look of annoyance before settling back into that haunting grin. "Playtime's almost over," she said, a sing-song quality wrapping around her words like a noose. "You can't keep him away forever." "No, no, no." Emily gasped, feeling the ground shudder beneath her. There was no sense in this. She had to escape. She had to find her son. In a burst of clarity, she turned, prepared to flee. But the hallway seemed longer now, shadows elongating like fingers reaching for her. The girl giggled softly, a sound so innocent yet dripping with malice. "You can't run. Not from our games." The laughter from the park echoed again, now chilling and distorted, wrapping around the flickering lights of her home. Emily stumbled backward, dread smothering her thoughts, a suffocating weight crushing her chest. "What do you want?" She screamed, but her voice broke, shattering into pieces. "Your son is ours," the girl said, stepping so close that all Emily could see were those void-like eyes. "If you want him back, you have to play." "Play what?" Emily's throat felt tight, each word scraping against her insides. "What do you mean?" "Follow me." With that, the girl turned in a flash, darting toward the door, her feet barely touching the ground. Emily felt the overwhelming urge to follow, an almost magnetic pull that thrummed through the very fabric of her being. The glow of the streetlights outside beckoned, illuminated by a pale, ghostly sheen that seemed to pulse like her heart. A sudden rush of adrenaline sparked a frantic life-or-death instinct within her. She dashed after the girl, bursting out of the house and into the chill of the night. The air was thick, tasting metallic, as the park loomed ahead, shrouded in thick fog. Faint giggles flitted through the air, trailing behind the skittering girl. She stumbled, eyes scanning the perimeter, hoping with all her might to see her son among the sea of shadows. The park felt alive, oppressive with unseen forces. It swallowed her whole as each step pulled her deeper into a world that felt wrong, upside down. "Stop!" she screamed, her voice echoing through the trees as the girl spun to face her. Panic flared in her heart as she saw the glee dancing on that child's face. "Join the circle," the girl sang, gesturing wildly. Shadows danced around her, shifting and swirling, and Emily felt the ground tremble, a morbid invitation. "Come play with us." A shadow darted just out of sight, and for a split second, Emily thought she glimpsed a familiar figure among the darkness. "Jason!" she called, desperation painting her words. "Baby, where are you?" But the laughter that followed was not hers. It was too sharp, too high, echoing with a taunting purity that sent her sanity spiraling. It was everywhere, it surged from the trees, crawled through the grass, and wove itself into her very soul. "One last chance, Emily," the girl whispered. "Join us or lose him forever." Now, as the laughter grew louder, Emily's choice loomed over her like a storm cloud. Did she dare step closer into darkness or fight against it, risking everything? What awaited her on the other side of the decision? With breath held tight, she reached for the void. Emily's heart raced, pounding in her chest like a hammer against stone. Each step pulled her closer to that maddening circle forming under the twisted branches of the trees. The girl's voice echoed in her mind, a sweet yet bitter melody that promised both terror and hope. The shadows swirled like a storm, their chaos inviting her in for a dance between life and death. "Mommy, I'm scared." The voice was Jason's, unmistakable and close. It sliced through the haze of madness surrounding her. But where? Where was he? "Jason!" Emily called again, her voice trembling. Panic twisted her stomach into knots, but she pressed forward, drawn by that motherly instinct. The laughter didn't fade, it morphed, taking on a sinister tone that clawed at her soul. The girl stood there, aglow against the dark, eyes gleaming wickedly. "You can't hear him unless you join us. We're all waiting." She twirled, the fabric of her dress swirling around her like mist, mixing with the shadows of the trees. "Just take my hand." The forest around them seemed to come alive, branches writhed like serpents, the leaves whispered secrets that rattled through the air. Emily shook her head, refusing to fall into that trap, her breath quickening with every heartbeat. "No. Tell me where he is." There was a moment of stillness, the laughter fading to a haunting silence, and then the air shifted, thick with something dark and unnameable. From the depths of the fog, shadows moved, swirling and coiling like smoke. They took shapes, faces, hands reaching, whispers bubbling up into a cacophony of desperate cries. "Join us, Emily," they begged, each voice coated with unspeakable sorrow. "I'll never join you," she roared, the fury blasting away the creeping fear. Clenching her fists, she turned her gaze back to the girl. "Show me my son." In an instant, the girl's expression contorted, and fury flashed across her face. "You think you can resist? You're fighting against the very shadows that the rest of us have accepted. Why cling to something that will only bring you pain?" As if on cue, the shadows coalesced, and at their center, Jason's form began to take shape, a small, frightened figure pressing against the darkness. "Mommy!" he cried, his voice breaking her heart. "Help me, Jason!" she cried out, feeling her resolve beginning to falter. The phantoms lunged, their whispers rising to a fever pitch as she stepped closer, chest heaving with emotion. She could almost reach him. "Come, Emily. Join us, and we won't take him," the girl persuaded, her tone smirking with twisted glee. "Or sometimes we just want to play." Emily's body trembled, both from desperation and something deeper, something that whispered of surrender. The shadows pressed in tighter, coiling around her limbs like chains. Fear clawed at her throat, and she fought to breathe, panic choking her mind. But amid the terror, another thought emerged. She had seen this darkness before. She had felt it close, too close. "I want to let you take him. He is mine," she screamed, grounding her will in that single truth. With every ounce of strength, she pushed against the encroaching blackness, fighting not just for Jason, but for herself. What seemed an impossible wall of shadows began to crack, splintering under her defiance. "Destroy her!" echoed voices of the lost, shattering the night. In that heartbeat of chaos, Emily felt something shift. Underneath the fear and fire, she had the weapon of a mother's love. But would it be enough? As she reached deeper into the shadows for Jason, the very fabric of reality shuddered around her. Would she save him, or was this nightmare only beginning? The ground trembled violently beneath her as the spirits swirled faster, and for the first time, Emily paused. Silently, a thought brushed against her mind like a cold hand. What if this was only the beginning of the game? The ground shook violently as Emily fought against the dark. Her heart pounded with a rhythm that matched the chaos around her, a desperate beat pushing her onward. "Jason!" she cried, the name slipping through her lips like a prayer, a plea that hung in the thick, cloying air. Suddenly, a scream pierced the quiet, a guttural sound that twisted her stomach in knots. Was it Jason? Was it one of the lost souls trapped in this wretched void? The shadows seemed to ripple, reaching, clawing towards her. Names filled the air, familiar, yet distant. They echoed across the trees, throbbing with pain and despair. From the depths of her panic, a surge of defiance rushed through her. "I won't lose you," she shouted, her voice slicing through the madness. She plunged into the vortex of darkness, determined to find her son. The girl with the glowing eyes watched her, a cruel grin stretching across her face. It was almost a challenge. "You can't hold on to the light forever, Emily. You will join us. It's what everyone must do." Her laughter danced like flame, flickering, beckoning. Emily's breath was ragged as she pushed through a suffocating wave of darkness. Where was Jason? The tightening shadows whispered lies, promises that twisted her thoughts. She saw shifting shapes, faces marred with anguish, eyes wide with terror. Each of them could have belonged to someone. They were all mothers, fathers, children, all searching, just like her. "Join us!" they chorused, a symphony of despair that curled around her like smoke. But she wouldn't listen. "Jason!" she screamed again, every ounce of her being focused on that voice, a beacon that cut through the dread. Then, a faint flicker of light broke through the haze, and she felt something soft, like a hand reaching out, grasping for her. Hope swelled within her, threefold, louder than the chaos surrounding her. "I'm coming," she yelled, pushing against the weight of the souls surrounding her. The light sharpened, an ethereal glow illuminating a tortured silhouette. It was Jason. He writhed in the shadows, fear evident in his wide eyes, as he echoed, "Mommy. Help me. They want to let me go." Emily lunged forward, the shadows shrieked as she broke their hold, the tendrils hissing in agony. She could almost touch him now, could feel the warmth radiating from her son. Just a little closer, the girl stepped in front of her, eyes glowing with rage. "You'll have to pry him from our hands if you want to keep him," she shrieked. Nobody escapes. Emily could feel the darkness push against her with terrifying strength, but she would not yield. She had not come this far to back down. With a wild cry, she surged forward, desperate to wrap her arms around Jason, to shield him from the relentless cold, but as she reached out, the light seemed to flicker, the connection between them wavering. "Mommy!" he cried again, terror seeping into his voice, pulling at Emily's heart like a vice. The shadows lunged, screaming as they reached for her with claw-like hands, greedily trying to reclaim their prey. "Remember the love." A voice whispered from deep within. It was not a spirit, but a memory of laughter, a hug after a long day. Her son's face, a reminder of joy, cut through the veil of fear, igniting a fire inside her. In that moment, something shifted. The shadows writhed but hesitated, caught off guard by the strength of her determination. Their grip softened for just a heartbeat, giving her the chance she desperately needed. She lunged, arms outstretched, and grasped Jason's small hands. The connection pulsed like lightning, a surge of raw energy coursing through them. But even as she pulled him close, the darkness clawed back, furious at her defiance. "Leave her!" he screamed, and the shadows screamed back, voices rising in panic. "You'll never be free. This is just the beginning." With Jason in her grasp, Emily felt herself being pulled in two directions. The swamp of shadows clawed at her legs, trying to drag her down, while Jason's grip felt like both a lifeline and a terrifying anchor. "I want to let you take me," she yelled, her voice raw and filled with conviction. But the battle was far from over, the darkness was swirling, claws striking out with furious intent. As the circle of light began to close around them, the girl stepped back into the shadows, watching, waiting, her eyes gleaming with promise and threat. What if the shadows weren't finished yet? Emily's heart seized. What if this was only round one in a much larger game she hadn't even begun to understand? The shadows convulsed, a seething mass of despair fighting against Emily's grip. It felt as if 100 icy fingers clawed at her skin, trying to rip her from her son. Panic surged within her, threatening to crush her resolve. "Keep holding on, Jason," she shouted, her voice barely breaking through the chaos. The warmth of his hands awoke something primal in her, a fierce need to protect, to defend what was hers, but the darkness roared back, swallowing her words as a cacophony of whispers filled her ears. "Join us, be one of us." It was a seduction wrapped in despair, a pull toward the inevitable. Emily's heart raced. They were trying to wear her down. With a surge of adrenaline, she tightened her hold on Jason. "We can get through this together. Just trust me." The boy nodded, eyes wide with fear yet burning with an undeniable spark of hope. As they fought against the relentless tide of shadow, she felt the energy between them intensify. It was like a shield, repelling the darkness that threatened to consume them. But the girl with glowing eyes lurked just beyond, her laughter echoing eerily through the fading light. "Do you really think love can save you? It's nothing but a flicker in this void." The girl stepped closer, her features twisting with delight as she observed the struggle, her voice wrapping around them like chains. In that moment, Emily remembered the stories her grandmother had told her, tales of strength born from love and memories, of light that could pierce the thickest darkness. The truth struck her like thunder. They needed more than just their physical connection. They needed every ounce of love, every treasured moment they'd shared, to break free. "Think of our home," Emily gasped, her heart pounding. "Think of our memories." She focused on the laughter at the dinner table, summer days spent at the park, and quiet evenings by the fire. Each image became a strand of light, weaving a tapestry of their bond. Jason's grip tightened. "And the kite. The time we flew the kite at the lake," he shouted, his voice trembling but fierce, igniting the memories buried under layers of fear. The shadows recoiled, hissing in anger. Emily felt the tide of darkness momentarily stagger. But the girl in the shadows simply chuckled, her eyes glowing brighter. "You think that can hold against us? You have no idea what's truly at stake. With a maddening scream, the shadows surged forward, and Emily dug deep, drawing from every ounce of love in her heart. "I want to let you take him," she screamed. Energy flowed from her, surrounding them in a warm, burning glow, but hope flickered chaotically, struggling to maintain its brightness. Emily's heart filled with dread. Had they unleashed something darker within themselves? The girl's laughter echoed around them as she approached, her feet gliding across the ground as if she were weightless. Why fight it? Embrace the void. Embrace eternity. Her voice curled around Emily's resolve, twisting it like a knife. No. Emily's scream tore free from deep within her, resonating through the chaos. The shadows paused, hesitating. Jason's small arms tightened around her waist, anchoring her. As the shadows hissed and recoiled, a nightmare edge caught in the air. Would the love they fought for be strong enough to fend off the grasping darkness, or would it break them apart entirely? But at that moment, as hope and despair battled for dominance, Emily felt a chilling realization wash over her: some bonds could only be severed through sacrifice. The shadows began to swirl again, gathering their strength, readying for another assault. Emily trembled but clutched Jason tighter, ready for whatever would come next. Just then, an ominous silence fell over the swirling chaos. The girl with glowing eyes stood poised, her expression darkening. "You're not alone in this fight, Emily. You've awakened the forgotten, and they're waiting." What had she stirred within the depths of those shadows? Emily's breath caught in her throat. The fight was just beginning, and a greater terror lurked on the horizon. Emily's heart drummed a frantic rhythm as the shadows coiled around them, pulsating like the heartbeat of a beast roused from slumber. Every whisper, every chilling caress of the darkness, clawed at her sanity. In that dreadful silence following the girl's haunting proclamation, a sense of foreboding wrapped around her like a shroud. What are the forgotten?" Jason's voice trembled, innocence clashing with terror as the words slipped from his lips. Emily swallowed hard, the bile rising in her throat. She wanted to tell him it was okay, but they both knew the truth was sinking fast, deeper than any blackness surrounding them. With a horrified realization, she thought of the stories she had dismissed. Ghosts of tragedy and torment, written off as mere folklore. Had her grandmother believed? Had she known something? Before Emily could respond, the darkness erupted. Shadows churned and snapped like dying stars, illuminating the misty edges with a grotesque dance of flickering light. With each pulse, the wall of darkness drew closer, a suffocating fog that threatened to envelope them. "Fight, Emily. Come on!" Jason cried, his hands gripping her shirt like a lifeline. She felt the raw desperation emanate from him. She wanted to be brave, to protect him, but doubt gnawed at her insides. What if all this time it had been her destiny to fall into the grasp of the void? "Strength in love," she whispered, forcing each word through her clenched teeth. She turned inward, searching for the memories, the warmth of their shared laughter, the comfort of holding him at night. Each image sparkled against the encroaching blackness, fighting back like flames against a powerful wind. "Think, Jason," she urged. What else? What else brings us light?" His face contorted in concentration. "The fort we built. And the time we yes." She interjected, the memories crystallizing into a beacon, lighting the path through the darkness. Yet, the shadows hissed in anger at her rekindled spirit. "You think these fragile memories can shield you?" The girl watched from a distance, her delight palpable. "Soon you will understand the cost of this rebellion. The forgotten thrive on the passions of the living. They'll have what they want even if it means tearing you apart." With swift motion, the shadows launched themselves at Emily and Jason, an insidious tide, slick and cold, lapping at their ankles. Emily's breath staggered as she felt the chill creeping upward. The memory sparked brighter, illuminating the fierce glow around them, but the shadows were relentless. "Mom!" Jason screamed, his voice slicing through the chaos. "I hold on." She screamed back, feeling his fear resonate within her. The shadows recoiled with each new memory, but their jaws were drawing closer, a grim reminder of what they could lose. But what did love demand of them? The very thought struck hard, bit down deep. Was there a price they must pay? As if reading her thoughts, the girl's laughter trailed like smoke through the air. There it is, the inevitable truth. For every spark of life you cling to, something must be relinquished. The forgotten are not merely shadows, they are echoes of lost souls. What will you give to save the one you love? Emily's heart thundered in her chest. The realization sank in like lead, she was teetering on the edge of a dark decision. Sacrifice. What would she trade to protect Jason? Despair surged as she met the boy's frightened gaze, the love between them vibrating with raw intensity. Would she truly go to any lengths, cross any line? Mom? Jason's voice implored softly, yet there was fire in his eyes. The shadows hovered closer now, almost tasting their fear. Panic scattered through her and time slowed. Emily clenched her jaw. I won't lose you, she vowed, her voice fierce. But from the depths, the cacophony of whispers grew louder, the pressure mounting, like a storm ready to break. Join us. And in that ominous moment, Emily realized every choice she made now could either save them or plunge them deeper into darkness. The true horror was yet to come. In the stillness before the next strike, a faint glimmer of something stirred in the depths of the shadows. Emily's heart raced as she felt the air grow heavy, like a beast pulling them under. Had they stirred the vengeful spirits? What would be unleashed next? A sudden scream from Jason punctured the veil of silence, sending shockwaves down Emily's spine. What was waiting for them beyond that eternal grip? Jason's scream shattered the stillness, echoing through the pulsating darkness. It twisted in the air like a knife, striking through the shadows that closed in around them. Emily spun towards him, her heart leaping into her throat, eyes wide with a terror that gripped her. What's happening? She shouted over the growing roar of whispers that swirled around them like a venomous wind. The shadows surged forward, snapping hungrily at their heels, demanding answers. I don't know. Jason's voice shook, barely above a whisper. Fear warped his expression, and she could see the dawning realization that he might not make it out alive. They were trapped. The memories flickered like dying flames, their warmth slowly eclipsed by the rising cold. Emily felt the shadows catch her ankles, slick and clammy, attempting to yank her backward into the void that waited just behind them. A frantic thought struck her. What if we let go of the darkness? She murmured, grasping at the threads of hope. What if we deny them? Starve them of what they crave? Jason looked at her, fear mingled with determination. But how? By remembering only the joy. The best moments. Emily shouted, fighting against the panic that threatened to consume them. Focus on the light. On us. The hissing of the shadows intensified, their whispers clawing at her mind, taunting her with the memories of hidden fears and heartaches. But Emily pressed forward, envisioning the laughter they shared, the countless summer days spent together. The warmth of family gatherings, of birthdays celebrated, of sunsets watched. Each thought was like a bolt of electricity, casting warm light against the cold engulfing them. Mom, Jason stammered, clutching tightly to her hand, his eyes glowing with resolve. But as their love flickered to life again, the shadows thrashed violently, a storm of malice. A figure emerged from the chaos, shifting through the veil of darkness like smoke. The girl's laughter rang like shattered glass, high and haunting. You think these sweet memories can deter us? She cried, her eyes glinting with malicious delight. You are nothing but a feast waiting to be devoured. The forgotten thrive on sweet memories, and bitter sacrifices. Emily's breath hitched. No. We aren't yours to take. The shadows surged forward, a wave of despair and dread. They poured like liquid night, slick against her skin, sucking the warmth away. The chilling, icy fingers scraped at her mind, dredging up images of loss and defeat. A world without laughter, without Jason. Suddenly, a deeper darkness pooled around them, heavier than the rest. Jason stumbled back, eyes wide as something unfathomable coiled beneath the surface. It's changing. Emily gripped his hand tighter. Stay close. Her heart raced as she willed the memories of their brightest moments to burn brighter, to pierce through that suffocating dark, but the whispers boiled into a deafening roar. They invoked the weight of their own fears. Join us. Feel the peace of letting go. No. She screamed, frustration and terror merging into a breathless plea. We're stronger than this. We choose light. The shadows recoiled, hissing as if stung. Yet, the darkness didn't relent. It twisted and spat back, revealing silhouettes of people, faces from their past, those they feared to confront. They emerged from the void, embodying the pains and regrets left unresolved. Mom, Jason whispered, trembling. Is that? Emily's heart sank. Why were the shadows showing him this? It's a trick. Don't look, Jason. Just focus on us. On what we have. But Jason was transfixed, his face pale as he recognized each fleeting shadow. Emily stepped in front of him, shielding his view, but time felt slippery, like water through her fingers. The shadows loomed larger, ready to swallow their defiance whole. Then a flicker of light surged between them, illuminating a path through the darkness. It pulsed, agile and relentless, a beacon of their love fighting against the encroaching darkness. With a renewed glimpse of courage, she reached out, ready to grasp that light. Could it be enough? Would their bond stake a claim against the void? Suddenly, the girl's voice sliced through the turbulence, sharp and biting. Come, dear souls. It's only a matter of time. Sacrifice or oblivion awaits. With the shadows inching closer, the choice loomed before them, deadly and imminent. Emily steeled her resolve. Whatever it takes, I will save us. But as she took a step toward that sliver of light, a deafening roar erupted, and the ground beneath them shuddered violently. What had they awakened beneath the veil of darkness? What emerged from the memories they dared not recount? The earth trembled, and Emily stumbled backward, her heartbeat a wild drum in her chest. Jason's grip tightened, but even he felt the pull of the tremor beneath them, as if the very ground was warning them to flee. The roar grew closer, a monstrous exhale that rattled the shadows like whispering ghosts, threatening to tear their courage apart. Emily. Jason's voice was raw with fear. What is happening? I don't know. She gasped, her eyes darting around, searching for an escape that didn't seem to exist. The shadows transformed into something more substantial, curling like smoke, forming grotesque shapes that snaked menacingly toward them. Forget about the past. She shouted, desperate to keep their focus on the light. Just hold on to what we are, what we've fought for. But even her words struggled to breach the rising chaos. Whispers morphed into a terrible wail, a cacophony of despair and longing. It was as if every lost memory was merging into one giant scream. The air thickened, a heaviness filled with unfulfilled promises and hidden sorrows. It became harder to breathe, and then, the boundary of darkness cracked open like a gaping maw, revealing a depth that shimmered with the light of lost souls. Faces twisted in anguish momentarily flickered before them, lost children, crying mothers, tormented lovers. Each one cultivated a more profound chill that clawed at Emily's sanity. No! She screamed, forcing her eyes to shut out the horrid illusions. Keep fighting, Jason. Remember our adventures. The hiking trails. The sunset by the lake. Remember our laughter. But it was Jason who broke, his resolve splintering under the weight of the shadows' whispers. Emily, I can't. I can't fight this. In a blink, every moment of joy turned into a memory draped in shadows. The sunset faded to gray, the laughter echoing back with a sinister twist, a mockery of what once was. The warmth of their shared experiences morphed into icy fingers clawing towards his heart. No! With every ounce of strength, Emily lunged for Jason, tugging him closer as she stared deep into his eyes, summoning every light they had ever felt. We are stronger together. Please remember. Focus on us. Don't let them take you. Yet, he was slipping, surreal memories of loss seeping into his mind. A dark form loomed, taller, feeding off their doubt. The girl from before grinned wickedly, practically glowing with evil delight. See how easy it is? Just let go and join the darkness, she cooed, her voice dripping with malice. Oblivion is sweet. Jason hesitated, and Emily felt the panic surge within her. No. We want to let them in. We choose to remember love, laughter. We embrace the light. A shroud of warmth encased her heart, as if the very essence of their memories attempted to surface beneath the crushing weight of void that surrounded them. It flickered, and for a brief moment, she saw it, their laughter echoing in a sunlit forest, the touch of shared smiles. For a second it felt unbeatable, but just as quickly, that warmth dissipated. Shadows lunged, desperate to extinguish the spark. The ground quaked harder, creating fissures that swallowed the light alive, spreading like a contagion, and beneath those cracks, a low growl emanated, primal and ancient. Jason began to tremble, fear rippling through him as he caught sight of what lay beneath a void, alive with whispers hungry for his surrender. Emily! Jason cried out, slipping within the grip of uncertainty. A tear slipped down his cheek. I can't do this. No! Emily shouted. Don't lose hope. Summoning every ounce of love left, she thrust her hand toward the fading pulse of light, praying it would hold strong against the abyss. But flicking shadows from the ground clawed at her feet, threatening to drag her into the forgotten. Desperation flared. As Jason's eyes widened in horror, an echo resonated through the dark, a terrible strike of destiny. What have you awakened? The girl hissed, her grin spreading wider as the ground split wide open, revealing a churning darkness, a heart of regret and wrath. With one last surge of determination, Emily braced against the roiling current. Jason, stay with me. We can't let them win. But as the shadows surged and the figure loomed larger, the sickening sense of dread returned. Did they truly stand any chance against the darkness that hungered? Or was this just the beginning of their end? Emily's heart thundered as the shadows twisted and writhed around her and Jason. The ground beneath them felt alive, a pulsating creature yearning to swallow them whole. Fear clawed at her insides, a relentless beast that rose with every painful echo of despair that filled the air. No! Keep your eyes on me! Emily shouted, gripping Jason's hand tighter. His little fingers were cold, trembling against her warm palm. The girl in the shadows leaned in, her voice a sultry melody twisted with mockery. You can't hold on forever, Emily. The forgotten are always hungry for more. With every word, the weight of darkness surged closer, wrapping around them like icy fingers probing for flesh. Jason trembled, his eyes wide with fear. Mom, I can't focus on us. She shouted, forcing herself to look deep into his eyes, searching for the flicker of light that remained. Remember the days at the lake? The kite? Our adventures in the woods? As she spoke, vivid memories flooded her mind, sunny days filled with laughter, Jason's delighted face as he flew the kite high into the sky. Those moments were their lifelines, but the girl merely laughed, echoing tantalizingly, a jarring sound that cut through Emily's resolve. Your memories are weak. They fade into nothingness here. Join me, and you will be free. Emily felt the shadows tug at her legs, slick and insistent, threatening to pull her down into oblivion. No, not with you. She screamed, rage boiling over. I'd rather endure any darkness than play your games. Feel the pull, Emily, the girl continued, gliding forward effortlessly, a siren in the storm of despair. Embrace it. It's a comfort. A surge of shadows raged around them, and Jason's grip faltered. "Mom!" he cried, his voice breaking. The figures in the darkness whispered promises and threats, twisting the warmth of memories into echoes of fear. "Let go, it's easier." But Emily would not let go. "We want to join you. Jason is mine," she shouted, determination igniting. The flicker of sunlight memories kindled her resolve, pushing back the darkness inch by inch. The shadows shrieked in anger, recoiling from the warmth of their bond. "Mom!" Jason urged, tears brimming in his eyes. "Help me. Hold on. Remember our family and everything we've fought for," she urged, her heart pounding with love and fear. "You're stronger than this." With a ferocious roar, the shadows lunged, but Emily steeled herself, feeling the warmth of their shared memories suffuse through her like a shield. "Our love is our weapon," she cried, channeling every ounce of that love, projecting it outwards. The shadows sizzled around them, flecks of light bursting forth as they recoiled, the girl's face twisted in a snarl, anger bubbling to the surface as she brandished her hand. "You think this love can save you? You're merely prolonging the inevitable." But Emily pushed back, her voice piercing the chaos. "You know nothing of love. It's stronger than anything you can throw at us." She surged forward, leading Jason deeper into the light, and could feel the tug of connection pull them closer together. Suddenly, the darkness crackled, and a violent tremor shook their world. The ground split further, revealing a churning abyss. Faces contorted with anguish reached out toward Jason, whispers pleading as they twisted in the shadows. "Help us, join us, Jason!" Emily screamed, fear tugging at her heart as the darkness threatened to drown them both. "Stay with me. We can fight this." "Mom!" Jason cried, but she saw the doubt flicker in his eyes, the innocent belief shaking against their terrifying surroundings. "No." She took a breath, reaching deep. "Jason, think of the last birthday party. We were so happy. Remember the cake?" She grasped his hands, squeezing tight. "Focus on that joy. Hold on to it. We have the power to break free." Slowly, Jason's eyes sparkled with the memories they shared. The cake with the candles. His voice trembled, but a glimmer of hope danced in his voice. "Yes. That warmth, it's what changes the darkness," Emily urged. Together they conjured the laughter, the candles flickering in the breeze, echoing like an anthem within them. She felt the shadows shudder as their grip weakened. With renewed energy, Emily and Jason stood firm against the encroaching dark. "We choose love. We choose life," she shouted, her voice rising above the shadows, bursting with fierce determination. The darkness howled in rage, recoiling as their bond of love outshone the void like a beacon cutting through the night. The spectral girl shrieked, shadows twisting around her like a tempest, desperate to reclaim what they had lost, but Emily pushed harder, love igniting a fire inside of her, illuminating the shadow's depths. "No. You will not have him. We are free." With a final surge, the shadows screamed, a cacophony of lost souls echoing their abandonment and anger. The brightness of Emily and Jason together surged forth, illuminating the veil, tearing the tendrils of darkness apart. And in that glorious moment, the chasm of shadows splintered, unraveling, a tidal wave of light washing over everything, sweeping the cursed echoes away. The girl's scream faded into nothingness as the warmth enveloped them, driving the dark away. For a moment, silence reigned, and Emily collapsed onto the ground, stealing precious breaths. She turned to Jason, feeling the warmth of his small body against hers. "We did it. We made it. I was so scared, Mom." His voice wobbled. Emily pulled him close, her heart swelling with love. "But we found each other in the end. That's all that matters." As they stepped from shadows into fading light, the first rays of dawn broke through the horizon. Maplewood began to stir, blissfully unaware of the terror that had just unfolded. The community was safe, and the hollow laughter of the shadows was gone, but Emily knew that darkness lurked just out of sight, waiting for its chance. Holding Jason's hand, she faced the rising sun, ready to protect her child, prepared to confront any darkness that dared to cross their path. Love was their weapon. Love would always be the light that guided them home. Now, if you've enjoyed this heart-stopping conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the stories coming. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling ending. We want to hear your thoughts. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this unforgettable conclusion. Your support is absolutely crucial to keeping the magic alive.